That's right, everybody. I am back. We are making a business news video today. We're going to talk about a bunch of business stuff, a bunch of stock market stuff. First of all, where have I been? Why have I not been uploading? What's been going on? And there's been two really big major things happening. First, I just want to give you guys a very quick update. I was planning on launching my e-commerce marketplace app startup October 1st. I have all of the functionality done of the site. So technically right now, if I were to announce it to all of you guys, you could go in, post your own products, you could get paid, you could obviously buy stuff on there, it all gets shipped to you, all of that stuff. All of the functionality of the site is done. I'm just kind of making it look nice before people and making it really easy to use. So anyways, that's just a quick update on that. I'll talk about that more later on. But the two big things, why have I not been uploading? So the very first thing was that about 2 weeks ago, I had a problem with my foot. And I stepped on a piece of glass and I thought I got all the glass out and stuff. Turns out I waited about a week and a half. I needed foot surgery. So that was a pretty decent ordeal. I got the piece of glass taken out. It was pretty deep and it got taken out last week. Yeah, so that was one of the reasons why. I mean, that kind of was a little bit of a setback. I couldn't get it taken up by my family doctor. Need to go to actually the hospital and get it done. So that was one thing. But the biggest reason why is this. So no, this is Redwood City. This is Silicon Valley. I did not move here. Okay, so I was previously stationed in Oakville, which is essentially a very wealthy part of Toronto, wealthy outskirts of Toronto. That's where my office was. I lived out of my office for essentially like 6 months, 8 months, 9 months. And then I decided to move. Where did I move? I moved to Silicon Valley, Canada, which is this area here. We call it KW here in Canada, for Kitchener-Waterloo, and I'm pretty much on the border here. But pretty much, yeah, I moved, and it was a very spontaneous decision. Just it so happened I moved in with my girlfriend. I moved from Oakville to KW, and it's known as Silicon Valley North, and I went to school here. I went to Wilfrid Laurier University up here. I thought this is something I always wanted to do. Plus, this is where all the tech talent is. So for hiring people, it's not going to be a big move for anyone. I can recruit people pretty easily. And so, yeah, that's pretty much what happened. That's been my life the past week. So that's also the reason why I'm not on camera right now. I didn't bring any of my lighting or anything right now. And I have all my inventory. I actually stashed it. It was all at the office, that stuff. It's now sitting in my parents' garage. So I got to go pick it up in the next week or so. So hopefully I'll be on camera soon, sooner rather than later. So that is the big update here, is that, yeah, I moved and had foot surgery. So that's been kind of a little bit of a setback, I would guess. And hopefully I'll start making more like vlogging and getting back into the normal business news stuff with me on camera within the next couple of weeks here, but I'll make no promises. So yeah, that's the big update here. And by the way, this area up here was like all owned by BlackBerry. And now it's just like these tiny little buildings in here. Anyways, that is the life update. So it's actually kind of nice. I'll give you guys a tour eventually. It's just I'm looking for an office space right now. I'm currently in a townhouse, which is it's actually pretty big. It's about 5 or 6 times the size of the apartment that I was living in a year ago. I guess less than a year ago. And yeah, so I'll have plenty of room for inventory and for studio space, and it's you know, apart from the fact that I'm living with my girlfriend's cats, hopefully I won't have to see them too much. Hopefully I can get an office space soon. It's been pretty good. I mean, I'm not a cat person whatsoever. It's just weirdest thing. It's not even weird. They're just annoying little animals. That's what they are. Yeah, so I'm still gonna be looking for offices in the area. Currently, I'm just in a pretty big townhouse, new construction townhouse right now. It's very nice, and I'll be looking for offices. Hopefully I can find an office in the next, hopefully 3 months. I actually found one, which was the plan for me to look at and look into, but it got taken last week, and so it was perfect. I'm looking for kind of a warehouse, half warehouse, half office space, and I found a perfect one, and it was in a decent budget. I think the rent was like, I think it was $1,600 a month or something like that, or just $1,800, which was really, really good. I mean, it was perfect, and it was on the outskirts of a city, so that's kind of what I want. And yeah, but that fell through. So I'm just stationed in this townhouse right now, and I'll keep my eyes peeled for an actual office space. in the next few months. Okay, so that's enough of an update for now. I'll maybe talk about more of an update on about my site in the next or at the end of the video. But I want to talk about the business news because that's what we are here for today. So, let's move on. Let's talk about what's been up the past month. I haven't made a business news video in like a month. I've been making some vlogs and stuff, but that's about it. What's happened? And Jesus, the stock market is just it keeps going up, guys. It keeps going up, and I predicted that it'll come to an end about mid to end of next year, not 2017 but 2018. And man, I'll show you some charts here in a second, but this is making me nervous. So Dow Jones passes 23,000 for the first time, fueled by strong earnings. So again, a lot of companies have had really good earnings. I think Netflix is releasing theirs soon, but they released their subscriber gains, which we'll talk about in a minute here. But man, the Dow Jones has been on absolute fire here. Its sixth 1,000 point milestone reached in the past 12 months, and the fifth since Donald Trump's election, which was in November of last year. So crazy stuff. Let's take a look at these charts here. So since I have made a business video last, the Dow Jones has gone up 2.56% since September 29th, which is for an index that is that old and that big. Oh my God, like that's a lot. That's a lot. And let's just back up here. This is what's making me nervous here. As you guys like to know, I always like to look at grand scheme charts, not just short term, but grand scheme. So let's take a look at here at this max chart. And so Dow Jones, you know, they're industrial, so they don't handle with the tech stuff. We're gonna look at the NASDAQ here, which is more techy in the next in the next minute here. But I always like to take a look at what happened right before an economic collapse. And again, it's usually this spike that usually takes about 2 years to happen. You know, 2 years, you know, from 1998 here to about 2000, from 2006, early 2006 to about midway through or to the end of 2007. And then we saw the big downturn. And Jesus, from February 5th, 2016 until today, it's the scariest spike I've ever seen. I mean, who knows if it'll be sustainable? Because, you know, look at what happened. I don't think it will be. Let's just go into some more charts here, and then I'll give my opinion on all this stuff. So the NASDAQ here that pretty much is composed of tech stocks for the most part, FANG stocks, you know, for Facebook, Netflix, all those are in there. The NASDAQ over the past month has been, you know, it's been pretty good. It's been up only 3.79%. Jesus. But let's look at the grand scheme here. I always like to do this. So let's look at the NASDAQ. August of 1998 up until the tech bubble bursting of roughly 2000, 2001. I mean, it was up 207% in essentially 2 years. Let's take a look at 2016. Up only 52%, so it's not as big of a bubble as any like tech bubble from the 1990s here. But if you just look at this chart, I mean, just look at this big spike here from 2016 on. I mean, it's making me a little bit nervous here because if you just look at this chart here, we were supposed to have a recession last year at some time. You know, in 2016 there was a decent downturn, but I mean the market's just rebounded in such a crazy way. PE ratios are through the roof. It's making me a little bit more nervous. And by the way, over the past month or two, I have not been following business news whatsoever. I've been coding 8 to 14 to 16 hours a day. Sometimes I'll binge code for 24 hours like I did 2 days ago. And look, I haven't been following business news whatsoever. And the past month is making me a little bit nervous here. I thought that we were going to see a little bit more of a plateau, but we did not. We did not whatsoever. And everything's looking like a spike here, including the S&P 500 here. So it's making me a little bit nervous. We'll see what happens. It's making me think that maybe this economic cycle will end sooner than I thought. This period of economic growth might end sooner than I thought. I mean, it's just looking at all these charts, it's making me nervous, guys. What do you guys think? Leave a comment down below. What do you guys think? Are we near the market top? I don't know. I'm still going to go with my prediction, mid to end of 2018. So, we're going to move on to this Netflix story here. So Netflix, I just want to talk about because they've had a pretty hot month here. They're up 12.52% since October 2nd. They've been on fire. Good for them. I always like when that happens. Since July, they're up 23%. In the past year, though, they're now up essentially 100%. 99.58% they're up in the past 12 months, which is ridiculous. So what's caused this? Again, they've just been growing as a company. They they announced subscriber growth again. They beat subscriber growth again. So net adds is 5.3 million new Netflix subscribers in the past quarter, in quarter 3. Revenue, they beat their estimates by 10 million. So is the 10 million? Yeah, about 10 million. So again, that's not really too much, but they beat their earnings by about 5 cents a share. Again, Netflix, for a company that said that they were investing a lot of money in content and expenses and growing their base, the fact that their earnings went up, I mean, that's pretty amazing for Netflix here. So think about this. Adding 5.3 million Netflix subscribers, think about what that means as a company, as a whole. I mean, on average, get people to pay $10 a month, 5.3 million subscribers. That is $53 million a month they added last quarter. So stretch that out into a year, assuming that you can hold on to if you can hold on to 5 million of those. Okay, so 5 million times 10, you get $50 million a month. Multiply that by 12, that's $600 million a year in revenue that they have likely added in growth last quarter. Pretty amazing, right? And so again, assuming that most of the subscribers stay, which most of them do, pretty amazing numbers. I think that Netflix, the fact that they've been around for so long and they've had that big growth since the late 2000s, and they're still growing very fast. This is Google territory in terms of growth. Google is, now, by the way, why am I saying that? Google is known as a company who essentially is growing at a rate of 20% per year, even though they're one of the biggest companies in the world. That's one of the things, and they've done that every single year, 20 to 30 to 40% every single year for essentially the past 2 decades since they've been around here. So Netflix is approaching that territory right now. We'll see what happens to them. Again, I don't like investing in companies that are like this techie and don't pay a dividend. But again, I like what they're doing. Market cap 86 billion, eh? That's interesting. By the way, go look at Reed Hastings' talks on YouTube. He has some really good talks on YouTube from channels like Startup Cat, I think is one of them. And he tells a really cool story about how he and I think it was him that founded Netflix. I don't know if it was just with one other person or not. I know he was one of the founders. He might be the only founder. I don't really know. But he had a really cool story about how Netflix had to adapt. Netflix started out as just sending VHSs in the mail, and then they had to adapt to DVDs, and then they stuff in stores. And then it's like, okay, you can buy DVDs online now. It's like, okay, now you can just watch stuff online now. And they had to make some more pivots than most other successful companies out there. They're in Amazon territory in terms of pivots. Like Amazon, again, selling books, mailing them, then they started selling other stuff online, then they started selling everything online. Netflix had to make some pretty big infrastructure transitions. So anyways, just a cool story. Go look at them on YouTube. Go look at Reed Hastings' talks. It's definitely worth the 30-40 minutes that he was talking. All right, so actually I forgot to mention one thing about so people are like, Silicon Valley, Jack, you moved to the Silicon Valley, Canada. It's probably nothing, right? I mean, out of the top 100 tech startups in North America, and so including the United States, I believe that 3 of them are actually within 2 kilometers of where I live right now. One of them is Thalmic Labs here. One of them is Vidyard. Actually, funny enough, my girlfriend works there. My girlfriend works at Vidyard. And I didn't even know how big of a company they were until recently, but they're a multi-$100 million company that's still growing really fast. They're still raising. They raised like Series A's, a Series A of B or C, or I don't know, recently of tens of millions of dollars. They're doing very well in terms of. Now, by the way, one thing that I've been coming to realize is how diluted a lot of these companies are in terms of shares from founders. I mean, I was doing the math on Vidyard. I mean, based on the amount of funding they got, unless they're master negotiators, the two founders probably don't own more than 8% of the company each. That's just my guess. They've raised so much funding, I don't really know how much equity they have really, but it can't be very much. They've raised so much money. And I don't want to run my business like that, where it's just you rely on raising money to keep your business sustainable. I don't want to do that. So there's other companies here: eCentire, Arian Labs, ComDev. Obviously, we got some established companies. We got BlackBerry here, and we got Google here. Actually, this is where Google keeps their Canadian headquarters. And we got a bunch of other companies too here. It's a really cool area. People don't really realize. I'll give you guys a tour. I'll take you guys on a vlog day, and I'll show you some of the big companies that are here. It's nowhere near like Silicon Valley. I mean, Silicon Valley, you got every company and you got millions of people, versus in this area it's, you know, several 100,000, but it's pretty condensed here. Actually, I can show you the two big areas where the companies are located. There's essentially downtown Kitchener, which I'm very close to, and essentially northern Waterloo here. That's where all the big companies are. That's where all the big tech companies are. And yeah, I mean, hopefully I can be one of those, but my offices won't be downtown. My offices will probably be like out here or out here or out here, somewhere on the outskirts, because I don't need to be downtown. Why would I need to be downtown? It's just rents are, I need to house inventory. The rents are about twice as expensive downtown per square foot, rather than on the outskirts here. So I'm going to be on the outskirts somewhere. I don't know. That's just something I wanted to talk about here. So I wanted to talk about just a few other things here. I'm not going to make this too newsy of a video. This is why I transitioned back into uploading again. I'm just getting settled down here. I've been in this townhouse for 2 days, and I'm just settling down, and you know what? My honest answer is that, you know, I kind of got bored, not bored of coding, but like I had an itch to upload a video and talk about this stuff again. It was just, I just really wanted to do it today. It's not even like felt like obligated to talk to you guys. It's just, I seriously missed like making a YouTube video. It's a really weird feeling. So I'm going to hopefully be a little bit more consistent with this, but we'll see. I'm not making promises anymore. I want to talk about this thing, Peter Thiel. And so I don't know, one random thing I thought about here. Oh, he talked about Harvey Weinstein. That's a whole other story. So Peter Thiel, I watched a talk with him. So he's a lawyer, investor. He started PayPal, who bought up X.com, which was Elon Musk. And so when people equate PayPal to Elon Musk, actually PayPal bought out and merged with Elon Musk's online payment company called X.com. But Peter Thiel essentially was the PayPal guy, and he invested in Facebook. He was I think he was the first investor in Facebook, and he was $500,000. And so he's a billionaire. He's doing very well, worth $2.6 billion. But what I want to talk about just quickly is, one, I don't like how he talks. He's really egotistical and all that. But it was really interesting because I've always been someone who deals with who thinks about the population problem and how global warming, climate change, all that stuff. And I've always been a fan of look, there's way too many people. We're fine with our energy demands as long as, you know, there was only 1 billion people on the planet versus 7 billion and growing 7 billion, right? And I just kind of thought okay, why don't we just do some sort of population control? You know, this was years ago. I thought this population control, maybe have a 2 or 3 kid limit. And, you know, that way the population won't grow, and hopefully our impact on the earth will be minimized compared to just having 4, 5, 6 kids in certain countries, and, you know, reaching 15 billion people in the next few decades. And then he just made an interesting point, which really opened up my mind, especially as I'm building this startup here and I'm watching all these other guys out there, about, you know, why don't we, instead of trying to control the negative effects, why don't we just innovate our way out of it, like we've always done throughout human history? Whenever we've had a problem, it's never been we need to stop what we're doing. It's you know, we need to just innovate and adapt. So here, what am I trying to say here regarding climate change and population control and things along those lines, is that, you know, he made a good point about how why can't we have 10 billion people? But what if we were all 100% energy efficient and we got all of our power from the sun? Or what if we have 15 billion people running out of land? Why don't we just move some people to Mars? What if our tech gets to the point where we can actually do that stuff and not have to limit our own lives and our own, happiness and things along those lines? It was just something, as I'm, coding this, and it's making all this tech stuff and coding and, looking into how to build robots and all that stuff I got into just as a tangent one day. I mean, it's a lot simpler than it kind of seems. And I think that innovating our way out of this by building companies, I know a lot of you are entrepreneurs out there, like by building your own companies and investing in people that want to make, like Elon. I mean, Elon, he's taking care of a lot of this. He's going to supply Puerto Rico with like 10% of their power, which is 100% energy efficient solar energy. And they're in a good spot to do it too. So they have a lot of sunlight. So, I mean, just having stuff like that, innovating our way out of it, innovating our way out of all of these global problems, I think is something cool. Like, why can't we go colonize Mars? And it's just, I'm at the point now where I've always been very confident in everything I do. I've always been very, I'm a big dreamer, I guess. But now it's like, what are the restrictions on anything anymore? I mean, why can't we go to Mars? Why can't we colonize that? And I'm just I'm a believer now more in, look, try to be responsible for the environment, but also realize that I think the way to go, instead of trying to control the population, do all this stuff, is just innovate our way out of it. That's probably the easier scenario, and I think that's going to happen with how everything's going right now. So anyways, that was just a really big side tangent. I had to talk about that. That was on my mind today. Anyways, let's talk about Tesla. Let's talk more about Elon here. Why not? So Elon, there's just this big thing that came out, not a big thing, but Tesla employees are saying how they were fired, claims that they were not performance related, even though Tesla said that they were fired because of poor performance. Allegedly, this is, they were fired because someone inside the company was looking at all the people that were fired, apparently 700 people or more. And a lot of them were the highest paid people at their positions. So people are people at Tesla are saying, look, they just fired a bunch of people that were making too much money. They could have been doing a really good job. They're just, Tesla needs to cut down to, and here's the deal is that, like, I understand both sides here. I mean, if you're firing people, at least be honest about it. Okay. So I don't know if Tesla's being honest. I don't really know what the truth is here. But, if you're going to fire someone, just be honest about it, why you're firing them. Just like, look, we need to keep our costs down over the next few months, over the next year or so that we can, do this, that, use this to invest in that, or whatever it may be. Just be honest about it. I mean, Tesla, I understand you 700 people, you have to fire people sometimes. Sometimes you have bad quarters. Sometimes you just need to fire people. I mean, Netflix has a deal where they fire the bottom 5% of their company every year or something like that, or bottom 10% of their company. I think that's the rule. Like, the people, they could be performing decently well, but if they're at the bottom of the company, they get fired. And that's just what happens at Netflix. Netflix is known as being one of those companies that just fires people for no reason. Or not for no reason, but for being at the bottom of the barrel. Even if they do everything that they're asked and they do a good job, if it's near the bottom of the company, you're gone. And that might be a little more harsh than what I want to do. But I'm more of the opinion, like, look, I understand I understand these employees have families. I understand all of that. So leave them with compensation packages, pay them for however many months that they want, and just kind of move on. I understand all that, but at the end of the day, people don't understand, especially a lot of socialists I've been seeing on Reddit recently, about how, like, people don't realize that in order to keep a company alive, you need to make a profit. You need to make a profit, or you need to have money saved up. I mean, if you keep losing money every month, but you keep everybody on board just to keep them happy and everyone has jobs, guess what? At the end of 1 year, the company goes under, everyone loses their job. And people don't think about that. People don't think about like profit's important for that stuff. You need to break even or make a profit in order for everyone to keep their job. If the company, it doesn't fire people, sometimes the company goes under and then everyone loses their jobs in the long run. So that's my opinion on that. But however, I'm very sympathetic to people that do get fired, especially, again, middle-class people have families. Now all of a sudden they're out of job and they have to find a good paying job within the next 3 or 4 months, which can be tough to do. But in the market right now, it's actually okay. Shouldn't be too hard to find a job right now. And last thing I want to talk about before I just talk about myself a little bit more here is this Elon Musk AMA. So Elon Musk did an Ask Me Anything on Reddit. I just thought it was kind of funny because people thought it was going to be like, hey, Elon, like, what's your favorite food? And it ended up being a big astrophysics talk, which I loved. And so people talk about the fuel parameters. People talk about, trajectories, energy levels here. Energy levels, what am I, Dragon Ball Z, and a lot of stuff here. And so people are leaving comments like, I can tell that this thread is not going to be for me. Thank you so much for being a translator and all that stuff. But if you're interested in science and you're interested in the science behind making a cool business like SpaceX, I highly recommend go check out this Elon Musk Ask Me Anything on Reddit. So last thing I just want to mention here is so just the last updates here on the app on the marketplace is that I'm just trying to cross all my what do you say, T's and X's or whatever you want to, I don't know what the saying is. I'm just trying to make sure that everything is okay before launch. I don't want to run into too many errors. I know that there's going to be bugs. I also want to make it look pretty, and not too pretty, but I want to make it look good and respectable. It's not going to look great, but that's why it's taking a little bit longer. Like, again, right now, if you wanted to go on right now and I were to share it with you guys, you could go on and post your stuff and get paid for it. And, I can ship to people's houses in 24 hours for free in certain areas. That's all functional. That's all good. It's just more of actually making the website flow and look okay and easy to navigate. And that's just what I've been doing the past few days specifically is just trying to make it look okay and make it easy for people to use. Because I actually my girlfriend ordered something from Walmart recently. Walmart acquired Jet, by the way. So Jet is they're essentially did something similar to what I'm doing. Except that they're not their own. They don't like sell their own products, I guess. They sell kind of other people's products, but they ship it fast. So Walmart bought them out for several $1 billion, and it only took them 2 years to Jet got created as a company in 2015. Walmart bought them out. So now Walmart can get stuff to your house in less than 24 hours, and the shipping price is, there's no membership fee, and it'll be about $5 to $7 to get something delivered to your house. Now mine's going to be free. It won't cost anything to get it to your house. But that's something that, it's lighting a little bit of a fire underneath me that Walmart might actually be the faster shipping company versus Amazon in terms of, because think about how many Walmarts there are too. There's way more Walmarts than there are Amazon fulfillment centers. So I don't know. It's kind of lighting a fire underneath me. I need to go pick up the inventory. God damn it. It's all sitting in my parents' garage in Oakville. I got to go pick that up. By the way, I was also thinking about this too. Some more personal stuff is that, like, I essentially moved out of my parents' house when I was 18. So that was 5 years ago. And then I went off to university and I had my own place and got my own apartment when I was 21. And, yeah, so anyways, after I graduated university, I did move back for a few months. I did move back for a few months, and I got my, I was finishing up my real estate stuff and driving to Toronto. I was living at home for a little bit. And then I moved into the office, obviously started sleeping there all the time. And I don't know, it didn't really click until my dad said, like, I'm essentially the only person, this is going to sound weird for a lot of you listening to this, but this is some personal information, but I'm essentially like the only one in my family in terms of cousins and all that stuff that's fully like been moved out and on their own and has no assistance. And it's really weird to think about because, sharing some personal stuff, there's some family members on extended family that, you know, some of them are 40, 50 years old, still live with my grandparents, and then, you know, their kids still live at home too. And, you know, my sister's older than me. My sister is 26, and, you know, she still lives it with my parents, and it's really weird. Because I felt like I've been moved out for 5 years, to be honest, but it's just, I don't know why it just clicked in for my parents. Like, oh crap, he's not coming back now. I think that when you're living on your own in university, your parents kind of think like, they'll be back. And so, like, even though you're on your own, they're like, they'll be back. And then, you know, this time it was just like, okay, wow, he's moving to a completely different city. And there's zero financial, now they haven't been supporting me for a while, but, like he's gone, our kid's gone. Yeah, I don't know. I was just thinking about that, because I felt, I don't know. I felt like I've been kind of on my own for 5 years now, but it's like now it's clicking in for my family that, like, last week that I'm finally going to be on my own. My dad was telling me before I left about how like, make sure to get your car fixed. And now he's fully paralyzed, right? So I can, you know, he mumbles a lot and people can't understand him, but I can kind of understand him. So, you know, he's telling me, you know, make sure you get your oil changed and make sure you keep your car maintained and all that stuff. And I just kind of looked at him and said, you do realize I've been living on my own with this car for 5 years. I know he's just trying to be a good dad and stuff, but it was just kind of like, I've been on my own for a while now. It's just, now I'm not coming back for sure. So anyways, that was just really random stuff. What do you guys think about the living at home thing too? Because for me, that's not that wasn't a solution for me. It didn't even really cross my mind about moving back in with them. It's just, I too much stuff and I can't handle it there. But like Gary Vee says, one of the best things you can do is just live at home until you're 27 and save up money. And I do agree with that. If my situation was different, that'd be a good scenario if I could work from home and not be stressed out all the time and stuff, and not have a lot of interferences like I did at that house. I totally would. And so if you guys are living at home too, trust me, like most, what is like 30% of millennials are still at home, or 30, no, it's, sorry, the number's half of people between the ages of like 20 and 25, right, still live at home. And so I think that's actually a smart thing to do. Seriously. I mean, I'm just, I don't know. I'm doing pretty well financially. So it's not, I guess I'm in a different situation. I mean, if I was making 30 grand a year, 35 grand a year, then I might want to stay at home, but you know, I'm doing pretty well. So, anyways, that's about all that stuff. What do you guys think about living at home? So I got to lower this desk here. I brought this, as you guys know, this stand-up adjustable electronic desk. And so I can go from sitting to standing up. There we go. In 5 seconds, however long that took. And I had to put it together again and take it apart. And the thing weighs like 80, 100 pounds, and it's very awkward. It's very big, but I like it. It's really cool. And I do recommend you guys check it out. It's called like a MotionWise desk. And it was like $900. So if you guys got that and you want to save yourself a lot of back problems, then go ahead and you can get yourself one of these. Sorry for these tangents. It's just, I don't know. I don't know. Everything's going pretty well right now. How's it going with you guys? What's been up with the past month? Have any of you started companies? I've gotten some emails from you guys. I haven't really been looking at my emails recently at all, just like the business news. And yeah, a lot of you guys are starting businesses and stuff too, and a lot of you guys are following the market pretty closely right now. I wonder what's going to happen to all these online businesses once the next recession hits. What's going to happen to us as millennials? Here's where I'm going to leave it. Maybe we'll talk about some of this more tomorrow. Is that as millennials have never faced an economic recession yet when they're in the workforce. So people ages, 20 to 30 years old haven't really faced a recession. 30-year-olds may have faced the recession of 2008 if they were 19 and entering the workforce. Or I guess, yeah, they'd be somewhere around there, 19, 20 years old. But for the most part, millennials haven't faced a recession. And I mean, think about this. Here's something to think about. In the 2008 recession, Facebook was barely, they had 2 million users. Now they have 2 billion. All right, social media wasn't around. The iPhone was new. Or did it? I don't even know if it came out by then. I mean, all this new tech stuff, all these apps. How will the economy fare during the next recession? We're living in a fairly different economy than we were 8 years ago. Now, a lot of the stuff's the same. Obviously, there's still obviously all the staples. But in terms of tech, I mean, I don't really know. I mean, a lot of these startups, here's what I'm nervous about. Here's what I'm nervous about is that all of those startups that were raising money and have all these projections for revenue, what's going to happen when their revenue goes to zero and they can't raise any more money because of the recession? No one wants to, everyone wants to be tight with their money. All those startups are going to go down. And that's why you got to have good business practices. You got to, I understand raising money. I'm probably going to end up raising money or taking out debt, something along those lines if everything goes well. But in terms of, you should make sure your business is profitable before you do that stuff. Make sure your business can survive even without those investments, even without that debt. And that's what I recommend. So that when a recession hits, sure, you may go from profitable to having losses, but it's probably not going to be that big of a shift from having major losses every single month from a startup to having, essentially death blows every single month from a startup. From going, for example, if a company, here's a typical startup, is if you have if you have $10,000 in revenue, so you make $120,000, you're just starting out as a company, and you raise, you raise several $100,000, okay? You raise several $100,000, you get some seed money, 120 grand. It's typical, if you have $10,000 a month in revenue, it's typical you're probably going to have about 20 to 30 grand in expenses for some reason, and that makes your burn rate about 10 to 20 grand a month. And what happens when all of a sudden you still have that $20,000 in expenses every month, but your revenue because of a recession goes to 4,000, which is typical. All of a sudden, your burn rate doubles. The time you have to survive as a company gets cut in half. What's going to happen then? Versus, a company that's, makes maybe a profit of $1,000 a month, and then all of a sudden you have losses of $1,000 a month. I mean, $1,000 a month, that's kind of sustainable. You've been a good business for a long time. I don't know. That's just my opinion on that. I don't know. I don't really know. Keeping expenses low is pretty much what I'm trying to say here. Is that keep expenses low so that if there's a downturn, you can survive. Okay, we're going to end this here. This has been too long. This is the first video back. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I missed you guys. I'm going to make some more of these because this was fun. So I'd like to thank you very much for watching. You're all very beautiful people, and I'll see you guys in the next video.